This specimen is a Roadmaster, and it is the Granite Peak model. This is a donation, and it's kind of cool because I was asked by Mike to pick this up, and it turns out that it's got a little bit of a history, which I am looking forward to hearing about. So I'm going to get to talk to the person who's donating it and also the person that she got it from as well. Okay, so tell me about who you are and how this bike came into your life.
My name is Haley Stevenson. I am a student at SOU, and this bike came into my life via Facebook Marketplace. I was on the lookout for a bike, and I found this one, and I went out and purchased it, and realized that it was far too small for me. And though I had tried to ride it a couple times, it did not work out.
Gotcha.
But I did know that my neighbor had a daughter, and we had talked a little bit about how she was trying to get her daughter to ride bikes more. And
Nice.
I said, well, I got a bike that I'm not using. Why don't you just take it? And that's how that happened.
Thank you. So, and now can we talk to you?
Yes.
Yay. Okay.
All right. So my name is Lauren.
And you are the neighbor with the
And
daughter.
we're neighbors. So at the time, my daughter was smaller than her, but pretty quickly got taller than her.
Oh no.
So then we thought of you guys, and we passed it on to the Pedal Power Project.
Nice. And so you called Mike. Mike said, hey, pick up the bike.
Yep.
So I'm really close to you guys. So I'm just a couple minutes away. So I swung down and put this bike into my truck. And I have to say, I have not touched it other than that. So I have not given it the once over. Have you guys done any work on it since you bought it?
Just some WD-40.
Okay, cool. All right. So I noticed the tires are a little low, which makes sense for a bike that's been sitting a little bit. And I'll give it a once over. And what I'm going to do is continue with this video of my cleaning and tuning process. I'll test ride it, and then eventually we're going to get it into the rotation. And then hopefully we'll get it to somebody who's super thrilled to have a new bike.
Awesome. And we have another link in the story is that I got a bike from you guys.
Oh,
Which maybe I should bring it out.
yeah, well, we could,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I love that.
It's a whole bike family.
Yeah. So this is all from the Ashland Pedal Power bike program. So super cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Lauren, you have another bike story.
Okay, so this is in the bike family. It's even matching the other bike, but I got this from you
Right,
guys.
that's that one.
It's got all the gears, which is great for all the hills here in town. And then I was able to go over to Getting Gear and load it up with a pack
Nice.
and a basket.
I mentioned Getting Gear before. They're a great source for
Yes.
used stuff in town.
So I don't drive, I don't have a car, so this is perfect for running errands around town,
Nice.
getting to the grocery store and back, and enjoying the scenery.
And you got this from the Pedal Power shop, right? Sweet. Cool.
And you guys even put new tires on it for me.
So that sounds like something we would do.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your story. Looking at this for the first time with some care. This was never a fine machine, but it's not bad. Not in bad shape. Clearly it's been living outside for a bit. But things are running relatively straight and true. So I'm gonna take care of some of this stuff. And probably just a little bit of a tune. Not seeing any major issues just yet. Since this bike's been stored outside, I'm gonna start with lube. So the chain Looks a bit rusty, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. I will put a gauge on there before I lube the chain to make sure I don't have to replace it. I'm gonna get this derailleur, get all these little joints in here, these pivot points. Get the jockey wheels. I'm gonna shift down to small gear. And the reason for that is I wanna get this cable off and lube in here. So the way to do that is shift into the small gear, and then I'm gonna push as I pedal. What that's going to do is take the slack off of this, and I can easily then pop this out. And run a bead in here, right down in there, and then just along this edge. Just slide it back and forth a little bit. A little bit down in there. Don't need a ton, just a bit. And now I'm gonna put this back. Just see if that gives me any easier shifting. Yeah, still hold that. You got some better. It's amazing what a little lubrication can do. Let's get that front derailleur too. Same action. Just looking for those pivot points. This has probably never been done in the life of this bike. So if you consider that, it's doing remarkably well. No idea how old this bike is, no idea. Just from the look of it, I'd say, at least, at the very least 10 years old. The rear. The derailleur on the front still really stubborn, so let's get that cable lubed up too. Oh, I want to access this cable here. Get lube in that housing. So I've downshifted into the smallest cog here on this front chain ring. And now what I'm going to do is just push on this as I pedal, just like in the back. The idea is I'm going to get some slack into this cable here. So as I push, I'm actually going to pull it, pedal, and I'm going to pull it toward me. So now it's on the upper chain ring. And can you see how this cable now is kind of flapping around? That's what I want. Because now I can just pop this out. So notice how this thing runs down here like this, right? So I may need two hands to do it. Yeah, it's in decent shape, but I'm just gonna get lube in there. Tilt the bike down a little bit to get the angle I wanted on the camera. Just the same thing here. See how far I can get down in there. Just running a little bead here. By the way, this is tri-flow. I like the stuff, comes with a straw. Mostly what I'm trying to do is just to get the working part of the cable. So you'll often see on this kind of configuration that like this part of the cable here that's exposed to the elements may have some discoloration or maybe even some rust. And this is not a show bike. This is gonna be a bike to get somebody from A to B. So I don't really care that much about looks. I'm gonna clean it a little bit, but in terms of like the working part of the cable, I want to make sure that this part is lubed inside the housing so it can move easily. But as far as the part of the cable that's not in the housing, it doesn't engage with it, it doesn't have to be that good. I'm just pedaling here and it drops back down. And then what I'm going to try to do is just work it back and forth a little bit. See if it gets better. Just working this back and forth. Still kind of hard, but definitely the more I do it, the more it improves. There's also another little spot in the lube. Most of these bikes have some kind of a little cable guide down here underneath the bottom bracket, and that's just another point of friction. Usually doesn't need much, so the downside too of lubing too much here is that it can attract dirt and actually be counterproductive. So before I put any time into this chain, I'm gonna check to make sure that it doesn't need to be replaced. This chain checker here is the one that I like. It's the Park Tool CC 3.2. And if you look, there's a 0.5 and a 0.75. You always start with a 0.5. So just put that in there and then see where the little hammer drops. And if it drops inside, then it's a problem. But where it is real nice. So that means there's not a lot of wear on this. I'm gonna just check it a couple more places just to make sure. So same action, just looking to see. That looks good. So if it were dropping, then the next thing I do is I check the 0.75. If that also dropped, this chain looks fine. So our next part is now I'm gonna lube it. Lube it up and get even smoother shifting. So if it were dropping on the 0.5, I dropped the 0.75 to see what the story was with that. And if the 0.75 also dropped, then not only would you have to replace the chain, 0.5 you're replacing the chain, 0.75 you're not only replacing the chain, but you're looking to see what kind of damage there is on the rear cassette and maybe even on the cogs. It could be time for major work. So I'm gonna keep going here with this lube. And then I'm gonna wipe it down and then lube it again, just because I don't think this chain has ever been lubed. So I'm erring on the side of a lot right now.
There's also a table, you have to like, stuff on the ground.
Okay, let's run these gears. That's it pretty well. I don't think I need to do anything with that adjustment. Pretty good. And let that sit for a bit, and I'm going to wipe it down. The action on these front brakes is pretty good. So just going to trim that and get an end cap on it. The rear brake, it's pretty typical that the rear one is, if it's gonna be laggy, it's gonna be that rear one because there's more cable housing for the cable to travel through. So I'm gonna lube both of them, but for sure this rear one, see if I can get the action a little better on this rear brake. Easy to detach these V-brakes. So this little boot here, it's just kind of moving around. I'll eventually just stick that back on, but at the moment I'm going to slide out of the way and squeeze, and then that's going to allow me to slide this noodle out like that. Brakes feel pretty good. They've got pad on them, so I don't feel like they need to be adjusted. So I'm doing this just so I can access this cable here and get some lubrication in this noodle, and then also down in this housing. And I'm going to do that with a bit of gravity here. There, the way this cable is, I can probably pop this out down here, but then this one here, I don't have a super lot of access to, so I'm just going to let gravity be my friend and get some right down in there. And then on this other side, same action. It's penetrating oil, does travel. So that plus gravity. These little guys, by the way, they're just to protect the frame, little donuts. I'm gonna just kind of put this back home and get this back into its seat. Make sure when you do this, it's got to sit right in that cable. See how it just popped through there? And then slide this boot back on. Now I'm just going to work it back and forth a bit.
Probably, but don't quote me on this. 12 and 1. But like really, like whenever like okay, this one's done.
Of course, now it's dragging. A little bit of lube on the articulation pieces. It's okay. boot's pretty shot. I'm not gonna bother replacing it, but if it were a nicer bike, I would. I'm gonna put my gloves back on just because my hands are already getting too dirty. Same action on this front one. So just squeezing here, we'll slide the boot out of the way, squeeze, and this one is going to be a little more difficult, just because this cradle here, this bit, see how it's kind of pinching it? Look at that. So look at that noodle. That is broken, right? They're not acceptable. So I'm gonna replace this noodle. It's just not good. I just discovered that. So let's do that. This is a noodle for the front. So if you look, it's a pretty good match. And that's what we want. So the front noodles have a little bit more of a right angle to them. So if you look here, it's, whereas the rear ones are a little more graceful. You'll see they're a little, the angle isn't as extreme, and they tend to be a little bit longer. Not always, but often. This bolt's usually a 10 millimeter. It is. And this one here, you see the cable actually runs right through this fixing bolt here. So what I'm gonna do is pull this out, but I'm gonna have to cut it anyway because it's framed.
It's, well, trying to dial in the front derailleur.
Sure,
Yeah, but.
I mean, so the chain line is longer, right?
I'm just gonna cut enough off here.
It doesn't actually look good.
So I'm gonna try to get away without replacing this cable. So this has to come off. And here's that dead noodle. So this little bend in here isn't awesome, but I can probably tweak that out. And now as long as I'm here, it's kind of nice. I really have access to this front brake cable for lubrication. So, same thing, just a little bead here. The housing itself looks pretty good, right? Supple.
So you want to get this more flushish than it is.
More flushish.
And then I'm gonna see if I can just tweak this a little bit. Might need pliers. That's not too bad. So there. Feels pretty good. And new noodle. Just threading that through. I'm just going to use the wisdom mark on this cable to put it back in this bolt here. I'm going to carefully thread it through because I don't want it to fray. I need to be able to do that. got her.
Oh, no. Oh.
Oh no, it's right.
Sounds like some of my fellow mechanics are having some problems over there. Oh, look what I did. I forgot the boot. Speaking of problems, I just created one for myself. So let's back it up. Try it again. Boot. It's a boot time. Okay. Now back inside this little bolt here.
Some guys at home.
I'm gonna have to take this and give it a twist. See how it's kind of frayed a little bit? So I'm gonna take that and twist it with a pair of pliers. These are about the cheapest pliers you can possibly find. I mean, they are just, I don't know if they're even Harbor Freight quality. I tightened up just a little bit, but I think it's gonna do fine, because all I need to do is take this, I'm gonna twist it in the direction that's already there in the cable. And I'm just doing this to get it through this little hole here. And then also I'm gonna eventually put a cable end on there as well. So let's see if that's gonna work. And it still wants to fray. I'm gonna back this out a little more so I can give myself as much space as possible to thread this cable through. Oh, hey, we got it. So I'm gonna take this, tighten it down. 10mm back on this. If I'm being honest, I like these a little bit longer so I can tuck them in, but I'm not going to replace this cable if I don't have to. All right, let's get this back inside the cradle and then see what we need to adjust. So it feels to me like I want to shorten this cable a little more. See that? See that end there? Wants to already fray. We're gonna take care of that though.
Theorize that was just the wrong. This is flushish.
It's very hard to do this with the camera. What do you think? A little tight now? And unfortunately, I don't have any extra slack up at the front, so we can try again. Just that little bit. A little more. Well, I'm actually okay with now this adjustment. I'm just gonna, the wheel's a little, I think, needs a little truing. Let's see. There she goes. I'm still gonna true it a little bit.
All right, that looks more normal.
Get your theory proved, correct?
Yeah, I was just going on this side.
I'm gonna back this out
You fine with that?
and
I got another plastic one.
this is the barrel adjuster on the front. I'm backing this out. And by making this longer here, I'm making this cable travel longer through, which means it's gonna start to pull more here. And now you see it's stuck, right? Right there. So that's where I want to get that wheel just a little straighter, and then I'll back it out again and we'll run just a little more true. I'm gonna true this wheel using this wrench. So this is one of the Park Tool wrenches. This is a 2. Can you see the 2 on there? So often the nicer wheels will be the black one, which I think is a 0. And if you look how I'm gonna just work this lever, and you can see how on this side, a little bit of space. And on this side, there's no space. It's already like flush. So what that means is I gotta pull the wheel that direction. So these spokes are counterintuitive. So I wanna tighten the spokes on that side. So that means these spokes here get tightened, these spokes here get loosened. And it is the opposite of the way you think. So I'm gonna, what looks like tightening here is actually loosening. And then here, I'm gonna tighten this one like this. So this is the far spoke. What that's gonna do is pull the wheel that direction. And I'm gonna do same thing here, just gonna loosen this by turning it in counterintuitive direction and then tightening this one here. So it looks like loosening. And let's see if that's enough. Not much, right? We're talking very little bit. So that's already better. And just a little bit of hanging up there. Let's just see what side that's on. Okay, so now it's the other side. So it's very common that one side will wobble and then the other side will wobble. So I didn't overcorrect there, but what I did was I found another spot on it that needs to be adjusted. So now I'm gonna pull the rim that direction. So the same thing, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna tighten the far spokes. And by doing that, I'm turning it clockwise toward me. And that's gonna pull the wheel that way. And these I'm gonna loosen. You wanna try to do this in pairs. And again, just little bits unless it's way out. So can you hear that? Still running. But at this point, it's very, very little. And this barrel is still really cranked here. So even with that very slight rub, it's still turning backwards. That's just the weight of the reflector, making it roll backwards. So really all I need to do now is tighten this barrel adjuster back down and check the action. If I need to, I'll run it back out again. Boy, that feels really good. And I like this back one too. It's much better. Yeah, and they feel about even now too. Cable end. So with any luck, what happens is this little bit slides right on there. Got lucky. Because it did have a little bit of a fray, but now that it's on there, it's not going to fray anymore. And I really like this tool. It's because it's got both the cutter and the crimper. This is a Park Tool CN10. I actually talked to the Park Tool people, like, what's the CN? It's cable nipper. As we discussed, this one's way too long, but I'd like it longer so I can tuck this in, but this is just out of hand. So let's cut it and trim it. So a little bit of a test run here before I cut anything. So this, can you see there's a little tab here on this? That's there for a reason, for this exact thing. So it just kind of tucks in like that. Wants to pop out right now, but ideally it kind of sits in there like that. And I'm gonna sort of tuck it in back here like that and keep it in. But first I'm gonna trim. I'll cut a little bit off first. Give that a go. It's gonna look real pretty up in there. So take my cable end, slide it on, crimp. Looks good. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but there's in this auxiliary room where I'm working, it's next to the big room in the Grove. And there's a dance class in there for seniors, and they're sweating to the oldies. It's the OJ's, Love Train, 1972. I think that most definitely counts as an oldie. So just twisting this up, hoping that I can twist it enough to get the cable end on there. It's kind of twisting and also pulling it a little bit. Again, in the direction of the original twist of the cable. Let's see if I can make this work. I don't wonder what happened to all these. It's got no cable ends on it at all. Someone like anti-cable end. We need frayed cables. Oh, it's close. It gotcha. Got you, sucker. All right, same thing. This is one of those cases where this is a little awkward to kind of get it in there. Squeezing it, crimping, really tight in there, but we managed. All right, last one. So this guy was actually interfering with the pedal a little bit. So check this out. If I shift it to the big cog, it makes me wonder was this ever ridden like this, but watch. So it's very tight up in there. It was actually rubbing before. Oh, there it is. It's a small cog that changes it, but then every time you go around, it's hitting it. See that? It's making that noise. So that's probably why this is so frayed anyway. We're gonna cut it back a little bit. It's a nice clean cut, so it goes on easily. There's another park tool that they make where it's just a crimper, so it doesn't have a cutter in it or anything, but it's designed for these tighter spaces, which I like. It's in my home shop, not here, but you can make it work. All right. Now all our cables are lubed and crimped, and where they can be, they are tucked. Where they can't be, I don't know. Can we try to tuck this one in? It would be kind of nice. Let's give it a shot. Maybe will that stay? Let's see. Yeah, how about that? Okay, let's clean this bike up. How much air? Just so it's feels full. This pump is set, so it's not going to overfill it anyway, but I don't know, 40-ish. Notice this front shock is not moving, so it looks like it's got a front shock, but it actually doesn't. It's a fully rigid bike. Does that matter? Nah, not really. It's fine. Let's do a test ride. This came out pretty nice. As far as I know, it doesn't have any issues. So the only way to really know is to give her a test ride. So here we are, the test ride of the mighty Roadmaster Granite Peak. Peak, 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 peak. Indoor outdoor carpet, and everyone's gone. I'm the only one left, which is nice because then I can hear what's going on with this bike. It'll be a little short for me, but that's okay. Brakes feel good. Like I said, this suspension fork is not a suspension fork, it's a rigid fork. Feels good now. Little swing on the front wheel. Could just be from the cleaning. Yeah, I feel like it's already starting to lighten up a little bit. This front shifter is really fair to operate. Oh, there it is. So the front shifter is rear. I'm calling this thing good.